for meat don't destroy the work of God. For the doctrine of men don't destroy the works of God. That's not going to happen. But he says even more. He says, all things indeed, all things in works are pure. So everything that you do according to yourself, according to God, is going to be pure when you're doing it. But he got more here. He got more here. He says, but it is evil for that man who eateth with offense. That's the problem. See, because the foundation was set up by God, and one man learned this, that these things is of God, he gonna sit there and he learned this with offense. Because he want to change it. He want to change the foundation the way God has it set up. Even Israel portion, he want to change it. He want to change this stuff. You can't tell me that's not the problem, because that is the problem. That's the premise of the entire problem. You not sitting there doing things. Don't seek to do harm to them of even Israel's portion, but they do. You will come into contact, many of us going to come into contact with many people who are the children of Israel. You're not Israel because you ain't had nobody. You're the children of Israel. You're not Israel. You the children of him. And we walk around and acting like fools, calling ourselves, I'm Israel. No, you're a fool. You the children of him. This is the problem. We got to put ourselves on these other levels. So we want to look at this. We want to understand it and get the full understanding on what's going on here today. Because this is the problem and why Paul had to come to the Romans and tell you can't change nothing. Let's look at this in Matthew chapter 10. We're going to pick it up at verse 12. 10 verse 12, right here. It says, including when you come into a house, salute it. So when you come to someone, salute ain't telling you nothing but to greet, welcome it. You greet that. You greet them when you get there. But he got more here. He got a lot more here, what we going to find out. In verse 13, it says this. It says, and if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. We got to tear this down. We're going to tear this down to where the ghost can get it. We're going to tear this completely down. See, because it's telling if it's worthy. The key is being worthy. Because worthy just being, if it's honorable, if it's been fitting, then let your peace, then let your reason of your hope that you have come to them and let them know why you're there. And the reason why the world is coming to an end. And another going to be beginning. So when Christ returns, it's not for the peace or reason together. I want you to understand this. See, because he's tearing this parable down. He's going to break this parable completely down for you today. And when we sit here and we understand this, we're going to put some pieces together. When you drop down to Matthew chapter 10, verse 34, I'm putting it here to where we can get it. It says, don't think that I come to send peace on earth. Don't ever think that when he comes back, he coming to send peace on earth, because he's not coming for that reason. People believe he's coming for that reason, and he's not. He's not coming for that reason. He's coming. He says, I come not to send peace, but a sword. He's coming with a sword. He's coming with a sword. So a sword only do one thing. It kills and separates. A sword only do one thing. It kills and it separates. But we need to understand. And he's separating. We can even look at the tares from the wheat. He's going to take one and do one thing with it. He's going to take another and do something else with it. But we got to understand what he's talking about doing with it. We're going to see this right here. In Matthew, go back to 24, and we're going to look at verse 40. It says this here. It says, then shall two be in the field, one shall be taken, including the other left. Did you hear me? One going to be taken, one is going to be left. But the one that is always taught on is taken. They start talking about rapture, which we're going to deal with in detail today. Because so many people believe in the one taken as the one that's good. But we're going to find out a lot of stuff today. So one will be taken and one going to be left. 41 tells you 2 women shall be grinding in the mill. The one shall be taken and the one left. He's separating it with a sword. He's taking each and every piece and he's cutting us in half. But we got to find out what's going on here and how this is working out. It says, watch therefore for that reason, for ye know not what hour your Creator doeth come. We don't know the hour, we don't know the time, and we don't know the day on Christ's return. We don't know this. We don't have no idea when he's coming back. In fact, let's get down to verse 40. Let's look at verse 43. It says, but know this. You better know this. It says this, that if the good man of the house have known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would have not suffered the house to be broken up. Did anyone catch that? Did anyone catch what he said? I'm going to read it real slow again. It says, but know this, if the good man of the house, y'all stay with me, that if the good man of the house have known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Y'all not getting me. We're going to bring this closer. We're going to bring this a lot closer. The fact known that Christ's return is the same, you know, if you knew what time, what minute, what hour, what day, what year he was going to return. This is when the time you're going to call yourself, you're going to straighten up. This is when you're going to call yourself, you're going to straighten up. Because the ones that is left behind is the ones that's going to see God. It's the ones that left behind is going to see God, because you're not changing the ordinance of God. And we got to dig all into this. In fact, I want to show you something. I want to show you something in Revelations. A lot of people do not like to play with Revelations, but I'm going to unravel a lot of stuff for Revelations today, because we need to know as a people, we need to know actually what's going on with some of these parables that's sitting here right here in Revelation. In Revelation chapter 21, verse 2, it says, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, compared as a bride adorned for her husband. That kills the rapture. The ones that's left behind. One taken, one left. The one that's left gonna sit there, gonna see New Jerusalem coming down. Are you with me? I want you to stay with me on this one, because this is getting ready to get really funky and really hairy with a lot of people. With a lot of people that's gonna get real funky and left behind and thinking they being taken. And you got the ones that's being taken is going somewhere else. So we got to straighten all this out. And let's go to Uncle Idris. We're gonna find out something. This is where we gonna find out a lot of information on what's going on. And this is why you have so many other people of these other denominations who have chosen to listen to men and have these books removed from the same people in the Old Testament as the same ones in the Apocrypha, and they chose to have them removed. They don't know this information. In 2 Idris chapter 13, it says this. It says this about this same subject. You're not going to change the ordinances of God. This is not going to change. And we're going to pick this up in verse 48. It says this. It says, but those that are left behind, thy people are they that are found within my borders. One going to be taken, one is going to be left behind. But the ones that are left behind is going to be found within his borders. And we got to understand all this here together. This is why that rapture theory is so crazy. You don't even see rapture in the Bible. But you is caught up on rapture. They tell you rapture, you caught up on it. Okay, we're going to be raptured up. It don't say nowhere in the Bible you're going to be raptured anyway. But the same is left behind, the same reason they teach the rapture theory, that you're going to be taken with the spirit of God at the end. But that's the spirit of Satan that's going to draw the third part of God's people with that lie. Are you with me? Are you with me? Because we getting ready to go through some things. We getting ready to get through some whole lot of stuff here. We're going to find out some things here today. Let's look at this all together. We're going to go to Matthew. And we're going to pick this up in Matthew. We're going to look at chapter 11 and really start picking apart what is actually happening. Matthew chapter 11, we're going to pick it up at verse 12. And it says this. It says, including from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, even today. And the violent take it by force, even today. Since John the Baptist, he's telling you right here. Christ telling you. So if you say that's not true, then you're calling Christ a liar. But you have some people who will tell you that's not true, and they still call Christ a liar. That's why I said you got these other ones. There's Ozan and Henry and Javier. They'll tell you all kind of lies.